Hello, and welcome. This is Developing with CockroachDB Office Hours. We are so happy you're here. This is a developer-focused success program with a series of workshops and office hours to help you tackle your biggest developer aspirations. And we want to know how to help you get the most out of CockroachDB. We hope that you have a little bit of SQL, a little bit of Postgres knowledge. If you've taken Cockroach University and are new to intermediate user of the Cockroach Serverless, CockroachDB, bring us on your journey so that we can help you. We're just here for you. Today is office hours because it is Thursday. Yesterday was a workshop about JSON optimization. We have tried something new today in that nobody from yesterday's workshop is here at the office hours, but we're still happy to answer questions about that workshop. We do have JSON experience. So if you have questions from yesterday's workshop, let us know. And also, this is not the only channel of communication. You can ask here, you can also ask on Slack, you can ask on forum. You can please dive into Cockroach University. It's got some pretty awesome classes going on. And today we're doing office hours, so let's get to know our experts. First up is Alistair. Talk to me about your path to Cockroach Labs.
Right, yeah. Spent about 20 years working with Oracle mainly in the telecoms industry, making Oracle work, fixing problems. I was talking to somebody the other day about when I used to be on call. I'm glad those days are over. I sympathize with anybody who is on call. Has to be on call.
Yes.
It's hard work. It is very hard work. It's like having a new baby, wakes you up several times a night. So
can confirm.
Finished that one, that section of my life, moved on to become an architect within IBM and working with a number of financial services customers, trying to make them successful and help them design their systems. But it wasn't what I really wanted to do. At heart, I'm a database person, and I didn't know it was there, but in the background, Cockroach was being developed, was becoming a company, was becoming a thing,
Nice.
And eventually our paths crossed when actually one of my customers mentioned it to me. I said, what sort of databases are you looking at for the future? What sort of patterns do we need?
Can you?
Oh, no, I can't say who. It's a big financial organization.
Yeah, I hear you.
And they said, yeah, we're looking at Cockroach. We've seen it, and the name is so interesting.
Nice.
I started looking at it, and I did the university courses. Yes.
I
thoroughly recommend them. They get you started, get you going with Cockroach, and then looked at my career, thought not doing enough database stuff here. This is where I need to be.
That's awesome.
So applied to come to Cockroach, and here I am 9 months later.
9 months. Well, I'm glad you're here, and happy birthday.
Oh,
thank you for joining us on your special day. Sheng, I'll get it right, I swear. Talk to me about your path to data and Cockroach Labs. You are also an enterprise architect with Cockroach Labs.
Absolutely. So I started out my career mostly, so I have a background in, computer science, studied some computer science and from college. And I had worked as a software developer, and then for a few years, mainly Java, SQL, and I moved into the consulting industry. So I worked for these large tech consulting companies like Accenture and Booz Allen Hamilton for over 10 years. Primarily, I worked as developer and developer manager, primarily using the Java and SQL and Oracle relational database. Then I moved on to the big data space. Got more passionate about data sharing there. and then found out about Cockroach Labs, and got immediately fascinated by the idea, database as a service, distributed SQL, from the perspective of you want consistency, availability, and partition tolerance. CockroachDB has a very strong a blend of all of those for your scalability and reliability. So I thought this is it. So
Nice.
right.
Nice. I love it. So that's us. My bad. That's not us. I'm Rain. And I'm hearing a lot of interruption. Are you all hearing that? Or is that just on my side? Okay. So I'll ignore it and make it happen. Anyway, so I'm Rain Leander. I am a developer advocate here at Cockroach Labs. I was a web developer in the late 90s, early 2000s. And so my experience with databases was purely MySQL. This was back when you had to actually install your Linux operating system and Apache and everything else. So it was pretty miserable. A bit of a noob, and yeah, I'm really happy to be here, especially with what Cockroach Labs is doing in the open source world. That's my passion. I'd love to get you started with upstream working on issues within GitHub and whatnot. So we're here, the three of us, to answer all of your database questions. And I am completely throwing these headphones away because it's just not working for me. It's just not working for me. Oh, but then I can't hear you. Right. So I'm probably going to have to flip headphones at some point. But what are we talking about today? We are here to answer anything from yesterday, anything from the past. JSON optimization was yesterday. Talk to me about what JSON is, why. I mean, I kind of understand performance optimization, but talk to me about why you would want to go in the way that you do with JSON. Either of you.
Yeah, I could pick that one up. So JSON is something that came out of JavaScript. So it's JavaScript, what is it? Object notation. So it's just a way of constructing data and nesting data rather than just having a straight sort of, I don't know, CSV or flat data. You can nest it and put all sorts of structures in there and describe real world objects. And that's become a thing, I think, because XML is just so horrible. I don't know if anybody else agrees with me on that one, but XML, I just couldn't get on with it.
Seeing it like it is. I love
so
it.
when I saw JSON, I thought, yeah, this is a much more intuitive format. You can read it. It's human readable as well as machine readable. So
yeah.
that's one of the really nice things about it. And the other thing about JSON is if you're going to store it in a relational database like CockroachDB, you create a JSONB column and you load up the JSON information, then you're doing less, you're becoming a little bit more schemaless now. So the JSON can change, you can add data in there that you hadn't thought of before, and it doesn't break your database. So you can load it up. I presume, I have to admit, put my hands up, I didn't watch yesterday's session. Oh, bad, black mark. But so I don't know what was discussed and what wasn't discussed. But one of the real advantages there is that you can, the JSON can change, or the contents of the JSON string can change, and that does not break your schema, does not break your application. You maybe can't see that data because your application doesn't know about it, but as soon as you change your application to harvest that new data that's come in, then you can pick it up from the same column. So that's one of the real advantages of it. And that's kind of one of the reasons why people have looked at Mongo and other sort of NoSQL database technologies, because they didn't want the strict kind of schema and have to keep changing the schema every time they think of a new piece of information they need to store about a real world entity. So JSON just gives you that little bit of flexibility. You can have Cockroach as a relational database storing the majority of your data in a relational kind of style. But if you need, if you've got, I don't know, a sensor kicking out loads of data and you want to store that data in a column, then and that sensor just gets upgraded and starts kicking out data you didn't even know you wanted, then you can accommodate it. So that's one of the real advantages of having JSON inside a relational database.
Nice. I have a comment about this comment that just came in from Adrian. The X in Ajax had to go. I realize Ajax is Stack or something. Ajax is also a football club in Amsterdam. So, which, having lived in the Netherlands for 10 years, when someone says Ajax, every time I'm like, why are you talking about a football club? Like every time. And now for the first time ever, which I'm loving, we have a question about yesterday's workshop, which is yes. Are there any, first of all, Doombringer operator, love the nick. Are there any read-write penalties by using JSON B column in comparison with NoSQL? Do either of you know?
One thing I've seen is that it doesn't necessarily have the penalties per se, but I've seen a larger JSON B, for instance, larger than a megabyte, tends to have a bit of performance. But I've dealt with several customers who are in the game industry, and they like to give certain data in the JSON or JSON B format. So for instance, like it could be your user profile, it could be some sort of an items you purchased, some sort of a map information in case you're doing some sort of a battle in the game. All those kind of stuff, your match history, who you fought with, who you won, et cetera, et cetera. All of those informations are saved in JSON or JSON B.
Cool.
I have done some load testing, stress testing recently. Sort of interchangeably use the JSON B. Most are realistic data, so they're mostly kept under 100 kilobyte, like 50 kilobyte to 100 kilobyte, but mostly around like 100 kilobyte, and they had no penalties. But anything, much higher.
Huge. So big data maybe goes with NoSQL and but regular folks goes with JSON B. Adrian's clarifying, which of course Adrian would know. He's the JavaScript specialist. And then of course we've got to highlight this because apparently, Alistair, you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel.
Haven't I?
Why don't we just pull this up for everyone, including Alistair? It's at youtube.com/CockroachDB. Be sure to subscribe. Thank you, CockroachDB people out there. I also love that when I pointed out how I associate Ajax with a football club, Shum immediately started to talk about scores and gaming clients. So we're aligned. Be sure to subscribe. And yes, what we're trying a little bit new today, we've got our chat overlay. I should do it more like this because this microphone is ridiculous. The chat overlay is so that you can see the comments that are coming here from everywhere. We are simulcasting on Twitch. We're on LinkedIn. We're on YouTube. I want to say we're on Twitter and Facebook as well, but I could be lying. so we've got comments coming in from everywhere. We wanted to make sure that people could see comments from each other as well. So we're trying this new thing. Let me know if it's too much, too little, and we'll give Alisher and Shung time to go over to YouTube to subscribe. I'm just messing with you. I'm not
in terms of optimization, though, I will say that if you're going to put a megabyte into a single JSON-B column, that's a lot of data. So if you just want to change one tiny little bit of that, there is a big read-write penalty, because the entire column will get rewritten. And if you're not careful, the entire column family, series of columns, will get rewritten within Cockroach if you're not careful about what you're doing. So that is one of the real things about JSON-B columns. If you modify a tiny aspect of it, you add an extra element to a list or something in the middle of it, the entire thing will get rewritten. So yeah, storing megabytes and updating them regularly is probably not a good thing to do. And the other thing not to do is to put JSONs into strings, because that's even worse. If you create a string column and just because they're just a string.
Yeah.
You could put the string into put the JSON contents into a string. The problem with that is that you then won't be able to do any kind of manipulation on it at all. You won't be able. We've got lots of JSON functions within Cockroach where you can inspect individual elements. You can create columns based on other elements and things. I think this was probably covered yesterday. You can't do any of that if it's in a string.
Yeah, that makes sense. Isn't the data within a JSON string by default? And then if you're also forcing it, that kind of hurts my brain a bit. I'll be honest. So we are here to answer any questions you may have. This is a bit of an AMA. We're happy to answer questions about yesterday's JSON optimization, or the recent serverless launch, or anything about the company. We do reserve the right to not answer IPO questions, for example, because we were originally saying AMA, and then we got an IPO question like, when are you going public? And we were like, one, don't know, but two, I think we would be fired if we shared that. I think it's also illegal to share that information. So we will answer any questions that do not get us in trouble with the law or the company. And another awesome user from Twitch, does Cockroach Labs have a preference to JSON over Parquet files or Google proto buffers? Love this question.
Is it not Parquet? Is it not French?
Maybe. I don't know. Do I look French?
I thought it was pronounced Parquet, but there you go. Like the flooring.
Parquet.
Like my background.
It's called Parquet now. I actually am French. That was a bit of a joke. I'm a quarter French. Okay, so is there a preference?
Well, there's a JSON-B type, data type. There's no Parquet type or Google proto buffer type. You just have to put those into strings, basically.
Yep.
That from that perspective, I think, do we accept Parquet files for an import? I think we might be able to take that format for an import for data, but we can't store it as that within the database.
So how do we store it when we import it? Do we then import it as JSON?
Well, you import it into whatever data types are in the table. There'd be nothing to convert it. If we could take native JSON in, I think we can import Parquet into certain tables, but we don't store it as Parquet format within the database.
Yeah,
we don't have a data type for it.
Yeah, fair.
And we don't have an XML data type either. So that's an interesting. If you're coming from a relational database that does have an XML type and you're converting your application, you will not be able to we do not have a native XML type at the moment. So it would have to be a string, really, if you wanted to store that data.
Yeah, definitely. So Doombringer, also still loving your nick. How about hiring from the EU? I can only see open positions for the USA. Are there plans for growing the engineering team in EMEA? And I hope you can't hear my twin daughter just outside the door. She's homesick today, but of course, as soon as she realized she was home for the day, she felt way better. I can take this question because I lived in the Netherlands for 10 years. Alistair is also sitting over in the UK. This is a US based company, started in New York City and whatnot. It does have an office in Canada as well, hires a lot of people from Canada and the United States, but now has a tax entity in the UK as well as Germany. And there are plans to expand that as well. So when I was an employee from the Netherlands, I was technically a contractor. So I had to set up my own tax entity, and I'm happy to share what that was like. But it wasn't hard, but it wasn't exactly as easy as if the company already had an entity there. And then there's definitely plans to expand in the future to other EU countries. Great question. Thank you. Where are you watching from within the EU? I'm curious. And you're so welcome, Twitch viewer.
I think it's worth saying there that, of course, pretty much everybody is working remotely. We have new offices coming in locations across the States, but at the moment, everybody is working remotely. And I think engineering 100%. Is one of those functions where you could work from just about anywhere.
Yeah. I don't want to speak for our Germany engineer hiring managers, but or I don't want to speak for the engineering hiring managers, but I would apply anyway if you see engineering stuff. And also, I would strongly recommend that you get onto our GitHub repos and file issues and comment, because whenever they're looking at bringing on someone, having that relationship already established goes a long way in the hiring process. But we do have a tax entity in Germany, so I know we're hiring in Germany for sure. So you should keep an eye out.
Yeah, we had 2 new joiners this week from Germany. Yeah, we live in Germany.
Yes, we had a lot of new hires from Germany, from the UK. That was exciting. I was like, and now I'm back in the States. Cool. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we are here today asking any questions. Yesterday was JSON optimization, but today was definitely it's an AMA day. And I saw there we go. You can ask us anything. We'll only answer things that keep us out of jail. Roaches are never in jail. And then you can join our community on Slack and on forum, definitely. Oh yes, sign up for the university courses. They are free. You know what I just took is the new serverless course. It was released just before our product launch, but I didn't see it until the official email came out. And I was like, And I will say it is a bit more towards marketing than towards, actually programming. So keep that in mind. But I appreciated that they went into details about what makes something serverless, because serverless is such a overused word in the past 5 years. So yeah, definitely sign up and start messing And then you can also add your certifications to your LinkedIn profile, which I love. I totally did that. Yeah.
And I think that the important thing to say there is that, when you think from a technical perspective, there shouldn't be any difference. If you've been using free tier, you get exactly the same as experience as you've had previously. It's just got a rebranding. If you're on free tier, it's just serverless with $0, zero whatever your currency is cost per month. That is free. That's what free tier has become. And then you get the advantage of getting a bit more, carrying on with exactly the same setup, exactly the same connection string, but getting some more resources if you're prepared to spend a bit of money every month to get that extra oomph from your Cockroach instance.
Yeah, 100%. And something I noticed almost immediately was it's so much faster. One, and then you can move from that free tier from a $0 spending limit to a larger spending limit, $5, $10, very easily. Like, instead of having to migrate from CockroachDB free tier to CockroachDB dedicated or whatnot, you can migrate. There is no migration path. Actually, I want to kind of show people, but I'm also totally hesitant about sharing my screen because, yeah, this is definitely not always worked for me. Restream doesn't like that I have 3 monitors. I'll just say that. But you know what? I'm going to try to do a demo. What could go wrong? Nothing. It's gonna be perfect. And I'll just give me a few minutes to set up, and I will do a quick.
Well, while you're doing that, I'll just
anticipate
the question that kind of I had and was answered as part of the sort of internal enablement, was what happens if you run out of your credit? So if you're prepared to spend $10 a month and you've used your $10 up in your first day, what happens for the rest of the month? Now, it doesn't stop. You don't lose your data. The cluster will continue, but it won't be as performant. You won't get that great performance range that you first experienced. I think you get something like 1/10 of a vCPU or something like that.
Nice.
There's some lower limit where you can actually get in and inspect your data, but not at a very high rate because you've gone above your spending limit.
So it's kind of like, or maybe it's not like this at all, but so in the Netherlands, you kind of had a daily throttle point. Like, even though you were unlimited on your internet access, if you reached your throttle point at 5 or 6 p.m., then you would start seeing packets drop. You could still watch your shows; they were just fuzzy, and it kind of sucked. It went away once COVID happened because everyone was hitting their throttle point at 2 p.m. So, like, people were screaming. It was really hard to hit your throttle point. Only people who worked from home would hit it, which is one of the reasons I know about it, and why I know that it went away. But it's kind of, I'm guessing that it's similar to that, where you hit your throttle point, your limit, and then basically the database is like, okay, sending emails out to the administrators, but also being like, okay, you're really full. Is it similar to that kind of?
I think so. Yeah.
Bottling it down a bit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, throttle it down because you've reached your spend limit. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And it's per month, by the way. What uptime is guaranteed? I love it. Doombringer operator is officially my favorite viewer today. 3 awesome questions. One thing that I could not find is the information about SLAs. What kind of uptime is guaranteed? That's a great question. Do you all know? I don't know that one. I don't even know if.
So I've seen like service level commitment, and then some of the credits, the uptime guarantees percentage, specifically related to the free tier. So I'm right.
Yeah, I've got well, no, this is kind of, it doesn't say free tier. It doesn't say, actually, it doesn't say serverless. It doesn't say anything. Let me just, technical service level agreement. I'm just going to put this link out. It'll go to everywhere except LinkedIn, which is one of the reasons we don't encourage subscribing on LinkedIn. That is our service level agreement, and it looks like it does not apply to beta services. There is a line, the last line in there. So this is things that are released for production use. Keep in mind that serverless is still a beta service. We are hoping that it will be released and available for production by next year, but I don't even want to promise early next year, late next year, because I don't work in engineering. But it does look like, so the serverless does not have an SLA. That's a great question, though. Thank you. And okay, let's see if I can do a demo. Oh, unless we have another question. I'm not doing this demo if we keep getting questions. So Loy, thank you very much. Do you have large scale financial firms using CockroachDB for core banking offerings, either directly or through any of the fintech solutions? That is a great question. I know the answer. I don't know what I'm allowed to share, so I'm going to turn it over to these two.
Well, we've made no secret of the fact that when we've been on these before, that I work for Bram, who's been on some of these before, and he's in charge of the financial services team. We wouldn't have a financial services team if we weren't supporting financial services. So yes, the answer is yes. Obviously, we can't give you any names other than what's publicly available. But
yeah,
yes,
exactly.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to see what customers we actually have listed. Because we might have somebody listed over in the customers. No, it just says top 3 global banks.
Yeah, I think we don't have. None of them have yet kind of given permission for us to use their logos.
100%. Which is understandable. Like, also, I would imagine like there are a lot of institutions that are like that. The financial institutions, but also government institutions would also be very hush-hush.
Right.
So yeah, thanks you for the question.
Public news about CockroachDB supporting JPMC, so at least I can give that name. Easily foundable from Google search, so supporting some of the critical functions. So yeah, the answer would be yes.
Excellent. All right, let's see what happens with this demo. And I am going to do this format. It's a little small. Let's put that up at the top. All right, so Alistair or Shung, do you have a timer?
I do.
On your phone?
I do.
Can you start it while I do this demo?
Sure.
The reason I'm asking is we, from KubeCon, Adrian and I did a quick demo that was 53 seconds. This was pre-serverless. KubeCon was the week before our serverless launch, so it was still Cockroach Cloud free tier. And one of the things I've noticed is that the creating a cluster happens a lot faster here. So we're just going to see how fast this goes.
Sure. You want to
Are
start?
you ready? Set?
I'm ready.
Go.
Go.
Including connection, of course.
Isn't there some claim about it being faster than preparing ramen or something?
Oh yeah, that's 3 minutes though. I was like, oh, I can do it faster than 3 minutes.
My daughter likes ramen. Yeah, I'm not a noodle fan myself. You know.
Oh, I'm a huge fan of ramen. And stop.
Stop. 38 seconds.
38 seconds.
Whoa.
That's awesome. Yeah, and that's it. That's it for for serverless. It's so fast.
So it's worth pointing out there that what happens with serverless is we split the storage and the compute. So what you're actually connected to there now is you'll have a Kubernetes pod under the covers, which is specifically your pod. It'll be on shared infrastructure, but that will run your queries. That's your gateway node running your queries now. Whatever you type now will be interpreted by that one pod. But the storage is a shared resource, a wider resource, which is already sat there ready to go. And so that was a free tier, was it? So it's 5 gigabytes, up to 5 gigabytes you can have on that cluster. It is just mixed in with everybody else's storage on that storage tier. And then if you pay more, you could have more of those pods servicing your queries. So you could have your app running, you pay more and pay $15 a month or whatever, you could have more, and it will spin them up and spin them down as needed for the load that you are generating in your application layer.
Yeah, and I went through that very, very fast, but this is the screen you can see, which is a little bit clearer on those limits. When you're asking for serverless, you get 250 million request units, and we're using request units as opposed to transactions because some transactions can take much more bandwidth and time and storage and whatnot, but other times your transactions are very fast, so your request unit would be much lower for a quick transaction and much higher for a huge transaction. And then you've got 5 gigs storage free, and like Alistair said, that's shared with this is a multi-tenant. That's how you can afford to have such a low price point. But you can change your spending limit. And you can watch over here as it goes up and how that affects your resources. I just saw a typo. Did you all catch it? I'll do it again. 250 million request units free. 100 request units free. So I need to let somebody know that they've got 2 different things listed.
And that's the point about it being a beta. We are grateful for any feedback. The more eyes on it, the better while it's in its beta period. If you spot 100%. Any funnies, anything not quite working, anything that you think can be improved, please let us know. We're more than happy to take that feedback.
100%.
What is that per second?
For request units? Oh, maybe. Right. Clusters start with 10 million request units of free burst capacity and earn 100 request units per second up to, so yes, it does go up to 250 million free RSUs. I should say RUs per month. That's cool. So it's not a typo if you scroll over it, and you can see why those two numbers are different. Kind of wish that was specified.
Say per month or something?
Yeah, per month.
Right. Yeah, that would have been.
So serverless really is your proof of concept. This is your experimentation place. Also, my favorite little quirk about us is that your cluster name is kind of automatically filled in with adjective and an animal. And I tend to switch this sparkling kittens unless I'm doing a speed test and want to get it through as quickly as possible. But I'm blown away. Where the speed comes from, y'all, is from create your free cluster. This used to be a 10 to 20 second spin up. And now, because of the way serverless works, where the actual storage is basically ready for you and we're just allotting the space, it's just so much fast. This hasn't changed as far as the end user is concerned. This is still downloading the client binaries. It's still putting the cert in your home directory and then actually connecting. I should probably delete those two clusters, which is as easy as that. But because they're free, it's all good. If you forget about them, we'll just kind of cry about it when we're like...
Yeah, that fail-safe mechanism there, that's AWS use that quite a lot. If you delete a resource in AWS, it will say, please delete me or something in there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm serious, I mean it.
No, really.
We ask you to type the name of the cluster. Yeah, which
yes.
As you say, always puts a smile on people's faces, doesn't it? I've got pesky rat is one
nice.
of my clusters. Yes.
Yeah, one of my colleagues even messaged me. He goes, "I'm setting up a cluster and it's busy beaver." And I was like, "That's awesome. That's just awesome." So especially, let me see, who was already playing? Vladich. Vladich is already playing with the university. I cannot wait to hear what kind of animals you get when you're playing with serverless. I can't believe I just did that in 38 seconds. No big deal. I saw it here first.
I always find, we're adults, right? But we're allowed to play. And I think that's the best way to learn. That's how I learned Cockroach. Just play, just try things.
100%.
Have a go.
100%. Yes. All right. If you are just joining us, this is our database office hours. You can ask us anything about CockroachDB, CockroachDB Serverless, CockroachDB Dedicated, Cockroach Labs, working here, being here, coding upstream, being employed. We reserve the right to not answer some things that would get us in trouble. But yeah. This is Alistair. Wait, can I do this? This is Alistair. This is Shun. I'm Ring. And yeah, I just want to go through and show you some of the quick resources available. This is how you sign up for Cockroach Cloud. It's not Cockroach Cloud anymore, and we're using cockroachlabs.cloud. But if you want CockroachDB Serverless, CockroachDB Dedicated, this is how you sign up. Here's our GitHub for the main CockroachDB. It does have a BSL license. That's like saying an ATM machine. It does have a BSL as opposed to an open source. So it's open core. That means that every 3 years after a major release is when it is fully becomes a MIT license. If you want to hear more about open source licenses, I am here for you. Every Wednesday when we do our workshops, they are available already on github.com/cockroachlabs/developer-success. And then if you are looking for more help, come on to our community Slack. You can ping me. I'm in there. I'm @Rain. We also have a forum where I am going to be putting up a video on how to file bugs. For example, if you find a typo within the portal, you can let us know. And then, as always, our docs are pretty freaking awesome, if I do say so myself. Alistair, have you signed up for YouTube yet? Do you know? There will be a test later. I'm going to ping you randomly next week and be like, Alistair, have you subscribed? Everyone. Oh, Shung has. Alistair, the pressure's.
I have the alarm. I did the like, not the dislike. I did the like.
Nice. Enabled notifications. Yeah. So in the next 4 minutes, because we are ending a little bit early because we have another stream coming after this one. It is a functions as a service, a serverless development stream, which I'm super excited about. Adrian is streaming, doing a demo of make it work, make it fast, make it work. So be sure to check that out, but we are going to end early today. So yeah, let us know if you have any questions we can answer in the next 4 minutes. And if we don't have any questions from the chat overlay, the reverse thing is difficult. If we don't have any questions, how are you two feeling about the serverless product? Have you noticed any customers come up to you and be like, help me play with this, or anything like that? Or have you played with it?
I've played with it. I was involved with we had a bug bash before it was released as a beta. So I was on the bug bash. I got one that I basically tried to fill up.
Nice.
Blow the space, and another one that I basically just tried to blow it up with the amount of compute that I could throw at it.
Nice.
Now, the nice thing about Cockroach is once you've downloaded the binary, obviously you needed to do that. Once you'd created your cluster, you needed to download the Cockroach binary. It does everything. It acts as the kind of CLI as to connect into your cluster, so you can do things. But it also does lots of other things like generate workload. So there are about 7 or 8 built-in workloads that it can create the data for you. It can create transaction load against the database, against your Cockroach cluster, serverless, and you can do things that way. If you don't want to make up your own. So there's a lot in that binary.
Yeah,
an awful lot.
Nice. I also participated in the bug bash. I found one bug. I was really proud of it. What was it? I think it had to do with deletion. It was so random. Have you heard about the QA joke? Okay. Engineering builds a bar, a pub. QA runs testing on the pub, and it passes. So the pub is released to production. Customer comes in and asks, where's the bathroom? The pub blows up. It's a little QA humor.
That's the sort of thing I would say to my kids, and they would groan.
Excellent.
We've got a question there. Quick, to get in quickly before we finished. One more question that may fit into 4 minutes. Well, we've got less than 4 minutes. We've got 1 minute now. Are there customers using Cockroach 4 times series?
Yes.
I am talking about millions of samples per second. I'm not aware of anybody that's putting millions of samples a second into Cockroach.
No, I want to say that literally at KubeCon, someone asked not this question, but a similar question: what is the max capacity of transactions? And it was, he said, I remember Keith, I'm calling you out, said something like 5 million per minute. Maybe he said per second. So that's a great question, but we don't tend to be a time series database. That's Grafana.
It's not a natural use case for Cockroach.
Yeah.
And generally, when we're talking to customers, and going through the sort of sales cycle with the larger customers, we don't try and sell Cockroach for something it's not naturally good at.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, if it's pure time series, then it probably isn't Cockroach. Although I think we'll probably be looking, I think there is some interest to look into that, because we do have time series built in for the metrics. So when
nice.
Within our own sort of metrics collection, we have an internal time series database. So there may be something coming in the future, possibly.
But not that we really know about.
Nothing concrete at the moment.
Right.
Yes. Cool. Well, let us know if we can help you on Slack or forum, or come back next week. No, I'm just kidding, because the workshop and the office hours are every other week. We did meet last week and this week, but that was because we needed to delay due to all things open. So we delayed last week. So it seems like we're weekly, but we're actually every other week. But definitely join our community Slack. We are happy to answer questions there. Our forum, we're happy to answer questions there. And then, yeah, we'll see you in 2 weeks. I cannot believe it. And when are we talking about in 2 weeks? I want to say it's with John St. John.
Yes,
import and Alistair, you too?
Yes. Import, backup, and restore into serverless. Now that's
awesome.
That's something that was missing and has been added, and it's really neat to get data in really quickly into serverless.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, having been an admin. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Cockroach. This is what we're doing afterwards at the top of the hour. Jim and Adrian are going to do make it work, make it right, make it fast. Serverless functions with CockroachDB. I cannot wait for that. I have a meeting also, so I need to run to that. But yeah, enjoy the stream coming up. This has been Alistair and Shun Fa, and yeah, database office hours. Ask us anything. We'll be back in 2 weeks, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much.
Bye.
Bye.